Look, whatever you think you know about using AI, it's probably already out of date. We are officially in what's being called the Agentic Era. So, for the past couple years, this idea of what it means to use AI, yeah, that has completely fundamentally changed. We've gone from just, chatting with a bot, asking it questions, getting some ideas back, to actually assigning an AI agent real complex work and just letting it run. Seriously, if you're still just chatting with your AI, you are missing the single biggest shift since this whole thing started. All right, so let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down this massive shift. I'm going to give you a new way to think about this: models, apps, and harnesses. Then we'll hit the $20 reality check, basically why you got to pay to play for serious work. We'll look at how all these AI platforms are starting to diverge, what the new ceiling for AI capability looks like, and then, the really cool part, we'll see AI that doesn't just talk about work, it actually does it. Okay, so to really get a handle on this new world, you need to understand that every AI system now has three distinct parts. First up, you've got the models. These are the brains of the operation. The big names like GPT 5.2 or Claude Opus 4.6. Next, you have the apps. That's just the interface, right? The website or the app on your phone you use to talk to it. And then there's the third piece, and this is the one that changes everything: harnesses. These are the work systems that actually let the model do things. The best way to think about it is like this. The model, that's a horse. It's got all this incredible raw power. But a horse by itself can't really do much productive work, right? You need to attach a harness. And that's exactly what the AI harness does. It channels all that intelligence, gives it tools like a web browser, a coding terminal, the power to create files, and lets it actually pull the cart and get stuff done. But does the harness really matter that much? I mean, how big of a difference can it make? Well, let's find out. We're going to take the exact same model, Claude Opus 4.6, ask it the exact same question, but run it through three totally different harnesses. Okay, so first, with no harness at all, just the raw model, what do we get? A pretty generic, kinda out-of-date answer. It can't search the web, so it's just pulling from what it was trained on. It's brilliant, sure, but it's completely stuck inside a box. All right, now let's take that same brain and put it inside the standard Claude.ai web app. The harness here is pretty simple. It just adds web search. But look at the difference. All of a sudden, the model gives us up-to-date info and even cites its sources. That is a massive improvement from just adding one simple tool. But now, watch this. We take that same model one more time and run it through a much more advanced harness called Claude Cowork. And the output is just completely transformed. It's not just giving information anymore. It has skills. It's doing a sophisticated analysis, writing code, creating files, and delivering this perfectly formatted side-by-side comparison. It's the same brain, just a different harness, and a radically different, way more valuable result. And all this leads us to a really practical, kind of blunt reality check. If you want to do serious work with AI, you've got to be willing to pay for it. You know all those viral posts you see online where an AI does something really dumb or makes a silly mistake? A lot of the time, it comes down to this one thing. People are using the free models. And look, the free versions are built for fun, fast chats. The paid ones, they're built for accuracy and heavy-duty reasoning. They are just not the same thing. And here's the tricky part. Even when you do pay, the platforms don't always make it obvious. Take ChatGPT. The default setting is usually this auto mode, which often picks a weaker, faster model to save resources. If you have a complex task, you have to physically go in there and select one of the thinking models to really get your money's worth. It's the exact same story over at Google with Gemini. The default is often Flash. Again, it's fast, but it's not their most powerful brain. You have to be proactive and choose Pro or Thinking to really unlock its full power for any serious work. And same thing with Claude. You want to make sure you've picked their top-tier Opus model, and, this is a big one, make sure that little extended thinking switch is flipped on. So the takeaway here is super clear. To get the best performance, you have to pay, and then you have to actively choose the most powerful option they give you. So what's really interesting is that right now, the top models from Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic, they're all incredibly close in terms of raw intelligence. It's almost a photo finish. So the real competition, the place where they're trying to beat each other, has shifted. The new battleground is all about the apps and the harnesses. And you can really see how their strategies are diverging. They're all building their own little ecosystems. Gemini, for instance, is going hard on incredible image and video generation. ChatGPT is becoming this sort of Swiss Army knife with tools for studying, research, and even shopping. And Claude is really doubling down on deep, serious research and project-based work. And this difference in their harnesses has a huge, real-world impact on what you can actually get done. So check this out. If you ask for a market analysis, both ChatGPT and Claude give you back actual working documents, like an Excel file and a PowerPoint deck with citations. But Gemini, even though its model is just as smart, can only give you back a wall of text. Why? Because its harness just doesn't have those tools built in. Yet. But we're moving beyond just making documents. At the very, very top end of these paid plans, a whole new capability ceiling is starting to appear. We're talking about AI that can do genuinely high-level, intellectual heavy lifting. For instance, GPT 5.2 Pro, which you can only get on the more expensive plans, was recently part of a team that derived a brand new result in physics. Think about that. You can give it a massive data set, and it can act like an economic sociologist, forming its own hypotheses, running complex statistical tests, and then presenting what it found. The potential for real, groundbreaking work is here. But again, it's locked behind these premium tiers. Okay, so all of this is building to the most mind-blowing evolution we've seen yet, the rise of true AI agents. We're not talking about AI that just finds stuff or writes a document for you. We're talking about AI that can take a complex project and just run with it from the very beginning to the final launch, all on its own. Let me give you an absolutely wild example. Someone had this idea. What if we published the original GPT-1 model's 117 million parameters as a physical set of books? Now, a project like that, for a human team, we're talking weeks, maybe months. Instead, they gave the entire project to an AI agent called Claude Code. And in about an hour, it generated all 80 volumes. It then designed a unique, honestly beautiful cover for every single one. It built a complete e-commerce website from scratch, integrated all the payment and printing services, tested the whole system, and then launched the product. And I want to be clear, this wasn't some quick and dirty prototype. This is the final product, a totally professional book cover. And it made 80 of these, all unique. The whole thing, from concept to creation, was done by the AI agent as part of one single seamless project. And this is the part that should really get your attention. This kind of agentic power, it's not just for coders anymore. It's moving right into the normal business software we all use. Things like Claude for Excel. It puts the AI right inside your spreadsheet, acting like a junior analyst. You can just tell it in plain English to do complex analysis, make charts, find insights, and it just does it. So, this all brings us to the single most important idea in all of this. The game has totally changed. The whole skill is shifting away from just prompting an AI that says things and toward managing an AI that does things. It's a fundamental change in how we're all going to work. And the real question isn't about which model is the smartest anymore. The real question is for you. Are you ready to stop being a prompter and start being a manager of AI agents?